The ferry leaves the last lit dock behind, and the darkness closes in soft and slow, like a curtain drawn by a patient hand. You are the only passenger in the cabin tonight. A blanket is wrapped around your shoulders, thick and warm. And beneath you, the old wooden bench creaks gently with the rhythm of the water. Outside the window, the fjord stretches out ahead, black and glassy, bordered on both sides by cliffs so tall they seem to hold up the sky itself. The last light has just gone from the horizon. There is only the deep blue dark now, and the small warm glow of the cabin lamp beside you. Rain has begun to fall. It is a light rain, unhurried, the kind that seems to have all night to reach the water. You can hear it landing on the roof of the ferry, a soft and steady patter, like fingers tapping gently on a drum wrapped in cloth. Somewhere below your feet, the engine hums. It is a low sound, deep and constant, a slow heartbeat carried up through the floor and into the soles of your feet, into your knees, into your chest. A few minutes ago, you found your way down to this cabin, footsteps quiet on the wet metal stairs, the last of the dock lights slipping away behind you as the ferry eased out into open water. Now that small journey is already behind you, already folded into the deeper quiet of the crossing, and there is nothing left to do but settle in and rest, and let the fjord unfold slowly ahead. You settle back against the bench. You let your shoulders drop. You let your hands rest loose in your lap, palms open, fingers soft. There is nowhere else you need to be tonight. There is nothing else you need to do. Only this. Only the rain and the hum and the cliffs sliding by in the dark. Breathe in slowly and notice the smell of the air. Salt carried up from the water below. Something cold and clean, like stone that has never seen the sun. A faint trace of diesel from the engine room, not unpleasant, just part of the ferry, part of the night. Breathe out and let your shoulders fall a little further. The window beside you is cool to the touch. You rest your fingertips against the glass for a moment, feeling the chill seep in, and then you let your hand fall back into your lap, back under the blanket, back into the warmth. Outside, the cliffs rise on either side of the ferry, dark shapes against a darker sky. You cannot see their peaks tonight. They simply rise and vanish into the low clouds, into the falling rain, into the vast quiet of the fjord. The water below is still, mostly, disturbed only by the gentle wake of the ferry and the soft ripples of the rain landing on its surface. Somewhere far off, a foghorn sounds. It is low and long, and it rolls out across the water and up along the cliffs. And then it fades, slow and soft, into silence. You feel it more than you hear it, a deep note that settles somewhere in your chest and then dissolves. Around you, the cabin is simple and old, the kind of space built for function rather than comfort. And yet tonight, it feels like the most comfortable place in the world. The bench beneath you is wooden, worn smooth by decades of passengers who sat exactly where you are sitting now, their hands resting exactly where your hands rest, their eyes watching the same dark cliffs slide slowly by. You run your fingers lightly along the edge of the bench, feeling the smoothness of the wood, cool at first, and then warming quickly beneath your touch. Above you, a small brass fitting holds the cabin lamp in place, its metal dulled with age, catching just a faint gleam of the lamp's warm light. Along the far wall, life jackets hang in a neat row, orange and faded, swaying very slightly with the gentle motion of the ferry. Though you do not need to think about them tonight, they are simply part of the cabin, part of its quiet, familiar order. And their presence, rather than feeling like a reminder of anything to worry about, feels instead like part of the ferry's steady reliability. A small sign that everything here has been thought through, prepared for, cared for, long before you ever stepped aboard. The windows around the cabin are old too, their frames painted a soft, faded white, chipped in places to reveal the metal beneath. And the glass itself carries a faint waviness, the kind that comes only with age, bending the dark shapes outside into soft, gentle curves. You watch the rain through this old glass now, its lines bending slightly as they run down the pane, and you find something soothing in that gentle distortion, as though the glass itself were softening the whole night for you, rounding every sharp edge into something calmer, gentler, easier to rest inside, somewhere above the cabin. Though you cannot see it from here, the wheelhouse sits quiet and dim, lit only by the soft glow of instruments. And somewhere inside it, the ferry's captain keeps his own steady watch over the dark water ahead, calm and unhurried, guiding the boat with the same patience the fjord itself seems to hold. You do not need to see him to trust him. You feel his steady presence the way you feel the engines hum. A quiet reassurance woven into the fabric of the night. Something dependable, something certain, carrying you safely onward mile after mile, outside, beyond the old wavy glass. The water continues to move past in the dark, and every so often you catch the faint sound of it lapping gently against the hull. A soft, wet whisper beneath the rain and the engine, rhythmic and unhurried, like a second, quieter heartbeat layered beneath the first. The air inside the cabin carries its own particular scent tonight, a mixture of old wood and salt, and the faint metallic warmth of the lamp. And beneath all of that, something colder, something that has drifted in through the small gap beneath the cabin door, carrying with it the scent of the open water outside, of stone, of rain, of night. You breathe it all in slowly, letting it settle inside your chest, and you breathe out just as slowly, releasing whatever small tension the day might have left behind. Your hood rests loosely around your shoulders, the drawstring hanging soft and untied, and you do not need to pull it up tonight. The cabin is warm enough, and the blanket is thick enough, and the small chill that drifts in from time to time only makes the warmth around you feel even more complete by comparison. The way a single cold breath of air can make a warm blanket feel twice as welcome. You glance, if your eyes are still open, toward the small round window set into the cabin door. Its glass fogged faintly at the edges from the difference between the warm air inside and the cold rain outside. Beyond that fog, you can just make out the shape of the deck, empty and wet, railings gleaming faintly under the single yellow light near the stern. And beyond that, nothing but dark water and darker cliffs, stretching on and on into the endless quiet night. You do not need to look for long. You let your gaze drift back to your own small corner of the cabin, to the warm circle of lamplight, to the blanket wrapped snug around your shoulders. And you feel, once again, that particular kind of safety that comes from being warm and dry, while something vast and wild moves quietly just outside the glass. There is a small shelf built into the wall beside you, and on it rests a folded chart, old and slightly curled at the edges, marking the long, winding path of the fjord from the harbor, where the ferry began its journey to the harbor where it will end. You do not need to study it. You only need to know that it exists, that someone long ago took the time to trace this exact path, to measure every curve and every narrow passage, so that boats like this one could make this crossing safely, night after night, season after season. For as long as anyone can remember, there is comfort in that thought, in the quiet weight of all that careful attention, all those generations of sailors and cartographers and quiet, patient captains, each one adding some small piece to the safe passage you are resting inside right now. You let that comfort settle over you, the way the blanket settles over your shoulders, warm and complete. And you feel your body sink just a little further into the bench beneath you. The rain outside continues its steady rhythm, and you listen to it now kind of gentle appreciation. The way you might listen to a song you have heard many times before, familiar enough to rest inside without needing to follow every note. Each drop lands and fades and is replaced by another, an endless soft procession with no beginning and no end, and you let yourself drift along with it, weightless, unhurried, carried gently from one moment to the next. There is no need to count the minutes tonight. There is no need to watch the clock. The ferry will glide along this fjord for hours, past the cliffs, past the dark water, past the rain, and you have nowhere to be but here, wrapped in your blanket, warm and safe and slow. Let your eyes rest on the window if you like, watching the rain trace its lines down the glass, each drop finding its own quiet path, merging with another, sliding down and out of sight, or let your eyes close if that feels better. Either way, you are here. Either way, you are safe. Either way, the ferry carries you onward, steady and slow, through the dark and the rain and the quiet hum of the engine. Relax the muscles in your forehead. Let your jaw loosen, just slightly, your lips parting so softly you almost do not notice. Relax your shoulders again, lower this time, further than before. Feel the blanket settle around you, heavy and warm, like a hand resting gently on your chest. The rain continues. It is patient, unbothered by time, falling the same way it has fallen for hours, and will fall for hours more. On the deck outside, you can imagine the drops landing on the railings, on the coiled ropes, on the wooden benches left empty in the wet dark. No one else is out there tonight. Only the rain and the deck, and the slow, steady wake trailing out behind the ferry into the black water. You picture the deck for a moment, glistening under a single yellow light near the stern, the rain falling through that small circle of glow before disappearing back into darkness. It is a peaceful image, and you let it rest in your mind without effort, the way a leaf rests on still water. The engine hums on, low and constant, and you notice how your own breathing has begun to match its rhythm, slow and even, in and out, in and out. There is nothing to think about tonight. There is nowhere to be. There is only the fjord, and the rain, and the warm cabin, and the blanket around your shoulders, and the slow, steady beat of the engine carrying you forward through the dark. Let your body grow heavier against the bench. Let your breath grow slower still. The cliffs continue to rise on either side, silent witnesses in the dark, their faces streaked with rain, their tops lost somewhere above in the clouds. Every so often, a thin waterfall appears far up on the rock face, a pale thread of white against the black stone, fed by the rain, tumbling down into the fjord below. You cannot hear it from here, not over the rain and the engine, but you can imagine the sound, soft and constant, joining the water of the fjord, becoming part of it, disappearing into the dark and the depth. The rain on the roof continues its quiet rhythm. Tap and tap and tap again, unhurried, endless, a sound with no urgency in it at all. You let it wash over you. This sound, the way the rain itself washes over the deck outside, over the railings, over the black water below, somewhere along this stretch of the fjord. The cliffs part just enough to reveal a narrow side valley, tucked back into the mountains, invisible in daylight to anyone not looking closely, and entirely hidden tonight behind the rain and the dark. You do not see it yourself, not clearly, but you sense it somehow. A faint change in the air, a soft current of colder wind slipping down from somewhere high above, carrying with it the scent of wet pine and old stone. It touches your cheek for just a moment, cool and brief, and then it is gone, swallowed back into the steady rhythm of the rain, and you settle back into your blanket, feeling its warmth close in around you once more. You imagine, briefly, what that hidden valley might hold. Perhaps a small farm, tucked far from any road, its lights already extinguished for the night, perhaps only trees and stone, and a narrow stream running down from somewhere higher still, unseen and unheard by anyone but the mountain itself. Perhaps there is nothing there at all tonight but rain, falling quietly onto empty ground, gathering in small pools among the roots and the stones, finding its own slow way down toward the fjord, joining the same dark water that carries the ferry gently forward. You do not need to know which is true. You only need to let the thought rest a moment, soft and unhurried, before releasing it back into the dark. The way you have released every thought tonight, gently, without effort, without needing to hold on, the ferry continues its steady path, untroubled by the narrow valley, untroubled by the rain, untroubled by anything at all. Its engine humming the same low, patient note it has hummed since the very beginning of the crossing. You feel that steadiness settle into your own body now, a kind of borrowed patience, as though the ferry's calm had slowly become your calm, its unhurried pace becoming your own unhurried pace, breath by breath, mile by mile. There is something deeply reassuring in surrendering to a rhythm larger than your own, in letting a steady engine and a patient current carry you forward without any effort of your own. You do not need to steer. You do not need to watch for rocks or currents or changes in the weather. You only need to rest completely and trust that everything necessary is already being handled quietly, competently, by hands and engines far more capable than your own tired mind tonight. This trust settles over you like another layer of blanket, warm and complete, and you feel your shoulders drop even further, your jaw loosen even more, your whole body sinking deeper into the soft, worn wood of the bench beneath you. You think briefly of all the small worries you carried onto this ferry with you, tucked somewhere at the back of your mind, and how none of them have followed you here into this deep and steady rest. They have simply been left behind, back on the dock, back in the day that came before this crossing. And there is no need to go looking for them now. Tonight there is only this: the rain, the hum, the dark, the warmth, and the slow, steady trust that everything is exactly as it should be. The rain continues outside, steady and soft, each drop finding its own quiet path down the old glass window, and you watch them without watching, your eyes half closed now, the details of the individual drops blurring together into one long, continuous stream of soft gray motion. It is a hypnotic kind of sight, gentle and repetitive, and you let it carry your attention the way a slow tide carries a small boat, drifting without direction, without urgency, simply moving in whatever way feels easiest, somewhere far below the water's surface, hidden from any light. Fish move slowly through the cold, dark currents of the fjord, following paths as old as the mountains themselves, untroubled by the ferry, passing quietly above them, untroubled by the rain falling softly onto the surface far overhead. You do not need to picture them clearly. You only need to sense them distantly, part of the vast, quiet life held within this ancient water. One more layer of stillness beneath the layers you can see and hear and feel, somewhere between the ferry's hull and that deep hidden world of slow moving fish. Countless layers of cold, dark water hold their own quiet temperature, their own quiet pressure, changing gradually the deeper you imagine going, until even imagination begins to slow, weighted down by the sheer calm vastness of it all. You do not need to go there. You only need to know that it exists. This whole silent world beneath you, patient and unhurried, holding up the ferry the way the blanket holds up the last of the night's warmth around your shoulders. Your own body has grown so heavy now that even small movements feel unnecessary, effortful in a way that no longer interests you. You do not need to adjust your blanket. You do not need to shift your position on the bench. You are exactly where you need to be, wrapped exactly as warmly as you need to be. And any small discomfort that might have existed earlier in the evening has long since dissolved into the deep, unbroken comfort that has settled over you now. The lamp beside you continues to glow, warm and steady, and you let its light rest against your closed eyelids. A soft, warm orange behind the darkness, gentle and unthreatening, like the last light of a very long sunset. Your breath continues to slow. Each inhale arrives a little more softly than the one before it. Each exhale releases a little more of whatever weight you might have carried onto this ferry with you. Whatever small worries, whatever small tasks left undone, whatever small thoughts that used to feel important enough to hold on to. None of that matters tonight. There is only the rain and the hum and the warm, dark cabin and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breath, easing you closer and closer towards sleep with every passing moment. Your eyelids feel heavy now. There is no reason to fight that heaviness. There is no reason to stay alert, to watch, to wait for anything. The ferry knows its way through the fjord. It has made this crossing many times before, and it will make it again tonight, slow and certain, gliding through the dark water toward the harbor that waits, quiet and sheltered, somewhere ahead. For now, there is only this moment. The blanket, the bench, the rain, the hum. Let yourself sink into it. Let yourself rest somewhere ahead in the dark, unseen. The fjord curves gently, and the ferry follows that curve without hurry, its engine steady, its wake smooth and quiet behind it. You do not need to see the curve to feel it. A slow shift in the motion beneath you, barely perceptible, like the turning of a great slow wheel. The lamp beside you flickers once, so faintly you almost miss it, and then settles back into its steady, warm glow. You watch it for a moment, this small circle of light in the vast, dark cabin, and you feel, somehow, entirely held by it. Outside, the rain has not changed. It falls the same way it fell an hour ago, and the way it will fall an hour from now, patient, endless, soft, against the water and the deck and the tall, dark cliffs. You let your head rest back against the wall of the cabin, the wood cool through the thin fabric of your hood, and you close your eyes fully now, if you have not already. The world outside becomes only sound. The rain, the engine, the occasional creak of the ferry's old wooden frame, settling gently as it moves through the water. And somewhere, far off, faint enough that you almost imagine it, the foghorn again, low and long, rolling out across the fjord and fading slowly into nothing. You do not need to open your eyes to know that the cliffs are still there, rising dark on either side, patient and unmoving, watching the ferry pass the way they have watched every ferry pass. for longer than anyone can remember. You do not need to know exactly where you are. You only need to be here, warm, wrapped, breathing slow, carried gently onward through the rain and the dark. Let your thoughts soften, the way the rain softens the edges of everything it touches. There is no sharp thought worth holding onto tonight. Only the soft blur of the engine's hum, and the rain, and the slow rocking of the ferry beneath you. If a thought does rise, let it pass the way the cliffs pass outside the window, present for a moment, and then gone, swallowed gently by the dark. There is nothing to solve tonight. There is nothing to plan. There is only this slow crossing, this quiet cabin, this warm blanket, this steady breath. In slowly, and out more slowly still. The rain continues its soft rhythm on the roof above you, unbroken, unhurried. Somewhere beneath the floor, the engine continues its low hum, a sound so constant it becomes almost like silence itself, a silence with a heartbeat. You feel your body settling deeper into the bench, heavier now, more relaxed than it was even a few minutes ago. Your hands are still and warm beneath the blanket. Your feet, tucked close, have grown warm as well. The cold of the night kept outside, kept beyond the glass, beyond the walls of this small and gentle cabin. The fjord stretches on ahead, dark and wide, and the ferry continues its slow, certain path through the water, cutting a quiet line through the stillness, leaving behind only a soft trail of ripples that fade almost as soon as they appear. You picture that trail for a moment, pale in the dark water, widening slowly behind the ferry, and then smoothing back into stillness as the rain continues to fall upon it. It is a peaceful thought, and you let it drift, the way the ripples drift, softening, spreading, disappearing. There is a particular kind of quiet that only exists out here, on the water, at night, in the rain, far from any town, far from any light, but the ferry's own small glow. It is a quiet that does not feel empty. It feels full somehow, full of the rain and the engine, and the dark cliffs, and the deep, still water, full of a stillness so complete that it wraps around you like the blanket around your shoulders. You think briefly of how rare this particular fullness is, how few nights offer this exact combination of warmth and motion, and rain and dark, and you feel grateful, in a soft, unhurried way, to be resting inside it now, wrapped so completely in its quiet embrace. You rest inside that quiet now. You let it hold you. Time moves differently out here. The minutes stretch and soften, the way the rain stretches down the window glass, slow and unhurried, each one taking exactly as long as it needs. You are not counting them. You are only resting in them, one after another, warm and still, rocked gently by the water beneath the ferry. Every so often, the ferry passes close enough to one of the cliff walls that you can almost make out its texture in the dark. The ridges and grooves worn smooth by centuries of rain and wind and water. It is an old landscape, patient beyond imagining, and it does not hurry for anyone, not even for the boats that pass beneath it night after night, year after year. There is something comforting in that thought. The cliffs will still be here tomorrow, and the rain will still fall, and the fjord will still hold its dark, still water, long after tonight is over, long after you have fallen fully into sleep. There is a quiet freedom in that thought, in knowing that none of this depends on you. None of it needs your attention to continue. None of it will pause or falter simply because your own eyes have closed. Your own thoughts have gone quiet. Your own body has finally surrendered fully to rest. The world continues, patient and unbothered, exactly as it should. And you are simply allowed tonight to stop holding on to anything at all. You do not need to hold onto tonight. You only need to let it pass through you, soft and slow, the way the rain passes through the dark, the way the ferry passes through the fjord. Let your breathing settle further. Let your body grow heavier still. There is nothing left to do now but rest and drift and listen to the rain. The cabin lamp glows on beside you, warm and low, a small steady light in the vast dark night, and you let your eyes rest closed beneath its gentle glow, trusting the ferry to carry you safely onward, trusting the dark to hold you gently, trusting the rain to keep falling, soft and constant, all the way to morning. For a while, your thoughts drift toward nothing in particular, the way clouds drift across a night sky, forming and reforming without any real shape, without any real destination. You think, perhaps, of the word drift itself, and how well it fits this whole night. The ferry drifting slowly through the fjord, the rain drifting down from the clouds above, your own mind drifting gently away from anything sharp or urgent, softening instead into something loose and warm and slow. You let yourself drift now, fully, without resistance. There is nothing to anchor yourself to tonight except the rain and the hum and the warm weight of the blanket. And you find that you do not need anything more than that, that these three simple things are enough to hold you, complete and steady, all the way through the night. Breathe in and feel the cool air fill your chest, carrying with it that faint scent of salt and stone. Breathe out and feel your whole body settle a little further into the bench, a little further into rest. The rain outside continues, unbothered by time. unbothered by distance, falling the same way over the ferry as it falls over the cliffs, over the water, over the whole quiet length of the fjord. You picture it now, gently, falling everywhere at once, over the small hidden farms tucked into the mountainside, over the narrow waterfalls threading down the cliff faces, over the wide, dark water far below the ferry's hull, over the distant lighthouse and its slow, patient blink, over the whole vast, sleeping landscape stretching out around you in every direction. It is a peaceful thought, this rain falling everywhere at once, connecting every part of the night into one single soft and steady rhythm. And you let it rest in your mind without effort, the way a single note might rest in the silence after a long, slow song. You think of the rain falling, too, on rooftops far from the fjord, on quiet streets, on parked cars, on gardens already closed up for the season. All of it happening at once, unseen, unhurried. Each small corner of the night receiving its own share of the same soft, steady fall. There is something wide and gentle in imagining all of that at once. This whole scattered world resting quietly under the same rain, each part of it separate, and yet somehow joined, the way your own breath joins the rhythm of the engine, the way your own stillness joins the stillness of the cliffs. You do not need to hold onto the whole of it. You only need to rest inside your own small part of it, warm and dry, wrapped in your blanket, carried gently through this one particular stretch of rain and dark and water. Somewhere behind you now, the part of the fjord you have already crossed continues to exist, quiet and unseen. The cliffs still standing exactly where they stood when you passed them. The rain still falling exactly as it fell then. And yet, you will never see that exact stretch of water again. Not quite this way, not quite this night. There is something gently moving in that thought, though not in a way that asks anything of you. Each mile of this crossing exists only once, this way, in this rain, with you resting here in this cabin, wrapped in this blanket, and then it slips behind you, quiet and complete, making way for the next mile, and the next, all the way to the harbor. You do not need to hold onto any of it. You only need to let each mile pass through you the way the rain passes through the dark, softly, completely, leaving behind only a faint, warm trace before it is gone. Your hands, resting beneath the blanket, have grown entirely still now, fingers loose and warm, no longer holding onto anything at all, not the thermos, not the edge of the blanket, nothing but the simple stillness of rest itself. You feel that stillness spreading upward now, into your wrists, your forearms, settling finally into your shoulders, which have not carried any tension in longer than you can recall. There is a particular quality to this kind of stillness that feels different from ordinary rest, deeper somehow, more complete, as though it had been gathering slowly all night, one small layer at a time, the way the rain gathers slowly into the still water of the fjord, drop by patient drop, until it becomes something vast and calm and whole. You feel yourself becoming part of that vastness now, no longer a separate small traveler resting inside a warm cabin, but simply another quiet part of the whole gentle night, held by the same dark water, watched by the same ancient cliffs, warmed by the same small, steady lamp. The cabin lamp continues its steady, warm glow beside you, and even with your eyes closed, you can sense its presence. A small circle of gold, somewhere just beyond the soft, dark, quiet you are resting inside. You do not need to open your eyes to check on it. You trust it is there, the way you trust the rain is still falling, the way you trust the engine is still humming, the way you trust the ferry is still carrying you forward, slow and steady, mile after gentle mile. Somewhere far ahead, though you cannot see it yet, the fjord begins to narrow. The cliffs draw closer together, leaning in from either side, and the water grows even calmer here, sheltered from whatever wind moves out on the open sea beyond the fjord's mouth. You do not need to picture this exactly. You only need to know that the ferry is moving towards somewhere quiet, somewhere still, somewhere waiting. For now, you are simply here, in the middle of it all, wrapped, warm, breathing slow, letting the gentle rock of the water beneath you carry every last bit of tension from your body. Feel it leaving your shoulders now, fully, completely. Feel it leaving your arms, your hands, your fingers, each one growing loose and heavy under the blanket. Feel it leaving your chest, your stomach, your hips, sinking down and away, dissolving into the soft dark, the way the ferry's wake dissolves into the still water behind it. Feel it leaving your legs, your knees, your feet, until your whole body rests here, weightless almost, cradled by the bench, by the blanket, by the slow, steady rhythm of the engine below. Feel it leaving your neck, your throat, the small muscles around your eyes, softening now, releasing now, every last trace of the day dissolving quietly away, the way mist dissolves off the water once the sun has fully set. There is nothing left held anywhere in your body now. Every part of you has surrendered to this slow, steady rhythm. The rain above, the engine below, the blanket around you, warm and complete, and you rest inside all of it, weightless, unhurried, entirely at peace. You notice, distantly, how the boundary between your body and the bench beneath it has begun to blur, how the boundary between the blanket and your own skin has softened, until it becomes difficult to say where the warmth of one ends and the warmth of the other begins. This is what full rest feels like, this gentle blurring, this soft dissolving of edges, and you welcome it now fully, without resistance, letting yourself sink further into it with every slow breath you take. There is nothing more to release. There is nothing more to hold. Only the rain. Only the hum. Only the dark cliffs sliding by, patient and unhurried, on either side of the fjord. Let yourself rest here a while longer, drifting gently with the sound of the rain, the low murmur of the engine, the occasional far-off call of the foghorn, fading in and fading out, like the slow tide of your own breath. You notice, in this quiet drifting, how completely your sense of your own edges has softened, how the line between where you end and where the blanket begins, where the bench begins, where the whole warm cabin begins, has grown thin and uncertain, blurred by hours of stillness and rain and low, steady sound. There is no need to sharpen that line again tonight. There is no need to know exactly where you end and the rest of the world begins. You can simply rest here, blurred and warm and whole, held by the blanket, held by the bench, held by the ferry, held by the whole vast dark fjord, all of it working together to keep you safe while you drift, slow and unhurried, toward sleep. Somewhere in the dark ahead, the fjord curves once more gently, and the ferry follows, its path smooth and sure, cutting quietly through the still black water beneath a sky heavy with rain and cloud. You do not need to watch the curve. You only need to trust it, the way you trust the rain to keep falling, the way you trust the dark to hold you gently through the night. Rest now. Let your breath grow even slower. Let your body sink further into warmth and stillness. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Only this slow and gentle crossing through the quiet dark of the fjord. The rain on the roof continues, soft and constant, each drop landing and fading, landing and fading, a rhythm older than the ferry itself, older than the harbor waiting somewhere ahead. You let that rhythm carry you now, deeper into rest, deeper into the warm, quiet dark behind your closed eyes. The engine hums on beneath you, low and steady, a sound that asks nothing of you, only that you rest, only that you breathe, only that you let yourself be carried. And so you do. You let yourself be carried, slow and warm and safe, through the rain, through the dark, through the vast, quiet cliffs of the fjord, toward the still, sheltered harbor that waits somewhere ahead, patient, unseen, ready to receive you when the time is right. For now, there is only this: the blanket, the bench, the rain, the hum, the dark cliffs rising on either side, silent and endless, holding the fjord, holding the ferry, holding you gently, all through this long and peaceful night. Further along the fjord, the water opens just slightly, widening for a stretch before the cliffs draw close again. And in this wider place, you notice something moving on the surface of the water, low and dark, barely visible in the faint light from the cabin. It takes a moment to understand what it is. A seal, perhaps, resting on the surface, its head just barely above the water, watching the ferry pass with the same quiet patience the cliffs seem to hold. You do not need to be certain. You only need to notice it, this small dark shape on the black water, there for a moment and then gone, slipping beneath the surface without a sound, without a ripple, as though it were never there at all. You let the image rest in your mind, soft and simple, the way you might hold a smooth stone in your palm, and then you let it go, the way the seal let go of the surface, sinking gently down and away. You wonder, briefly, where the seal is headed tonight. What quiet errand carries it through this same dark stretch of water? And then you release the wondering too, letting it drift away as easily as it arrived. One more small, soft thought among the many that have passed through you tonight. There is no need to follow any thought to its end. There is only the noticing, gentle and brief, and then the letting go, over and over, the whole night arranging itself into this same soft rhythm. Arrive and rest and release. Arrive and rest and release. The rain continues to fall around you, unchanged, its rhythm the same steady patter it has held since the ferry first left the dock. You notice now how completely you have grown used to the sound. It no longer feels like something happening around you. It feels like something happening within you, a rhythm woven into your own breath, into your own heartbeat, into the slow rise and fall of your chest beneath the blanket. Somewhere ahead, a single light appears on the water, small and steady, high above the surface, a lighthouse perhaps, or a marker of some kind, placed long ago to guide boats like this one safely through the narrow places of the fjord. You watch it for a while as the ferry approaches, its light neither bright nor harsh, only a soft, steady glow, blinking once, and then again, slow and patient, matching the rhythm of everything else tonight. The ferry passes beneath it, or near it, close enough that the light sweeps briefly across the cabin window, a pale, warm line moving across the glass, and then away, back into the dark. You do not turn your head to watch it go. You only let it pass, the way everything passes tonight, gentle and unhurried, leaving no mark behind but a soft and fading warmth. The cliffs continue on either side, tall and dark, their faces slick with rain, and here and there you notice small ledges cut into the stone, worn flat by centuries of wind and water, empty tonight, waiting for whatever birds might rest there when the light returns. You imagine them for a moment, small white shapes tucked into the rock, sleeping through the rain the same way you are beginning to sleep, wrapped in their own kind of stillness, waiting for morning. It is a peaceful thought, and you let it settle, unhurried, into the quiet corner of your mind, where all the peaceful thoughts tonight seem to gather. You picture, briefly, what morning might look like on these cliffs. Pale light finding its way slowly over the peaks, the birds stirring one by one on their narrow ledges. The rain perhaps eased entirely by then, the water calm and silver beneath a soft gray sky. You will not see that morning from here. By then, you will already be resting somewhere else, warm and asleep. This whole crossing folded quietly into memory. And yet, you find comfort in imagining it anyway. This whole fjord continuing on without you, patient and unchanged, ready to hold the next traveler the same way it is holding you now. The engine hums on beneath you, steady and low, its rhythm so constant now that you barely notice it as a separate sound at all. It has become part of the cabin itself, part of the bench beneath you, part of the blanket wrapped around your shoulders, part of the warm and gentle world you are resting inside, somewhere far below the ferry, deeper than you could ever see. The water of the fjord runs cold and dark, older than any light, older than any boat that has ever crossed it. You do not need to think about its depth. You only need to trust it, the way you trust the ferry above it, steady and sure, carrying you safely across whatever lies beneath. The rain shifts slightly, growing heavier for a moment, and you hear it more clearly against the roof, a fuller sound, richer somehow, before it settles back into its earlier gentle rhythm. You let this small change wash over you without concern. The rain does what the rain does, rising and falling in its own quiet way, and you simply rest beneath it, warm and dry, wrapped safely away from its cold. A faint smell of wood smoke reaches you for a moment, carried on some current of air from a chimney somewhere far off along the shore, and then it fades, replaced again by the familiar scent of salt and cold stone, and the faint warmth of the cabin lamp. You breathe it in while it lasts, this small trace of someone else's warm evening, someone else's fire, someone else's quiet night. and you feel, for a moment, a soft sense of connection to all the unseen lives tucked along this fjord, each one resting in their own small pocket of warmth while the rain falls outside. The thought passes gently, the way all your thoughts are passing tonight, and you return to the rhythm of the rain, the hum of the engine, the steady rock of the ferry beneath you. Your body has grown heavier still. You can feel it most in your legs now. A deep, loose heaviness that seems to spread slowly upward through your hips, your stomach, your chest, settling finally into your shoulders, which have not felt this soft, this free of tension, in longer than you can remember. The blanket continues to hold its warmth around you, tucked close at your sides, heavy across your knees, and you burrow just slightly further into it, feeling its weight settle more completely over your shoulders. Outside, the cliffs continue their slow, patient march on either side of the ferry, endless and dark, rain-streaked and silent, and you let your gaze rest on them without really seeing them, the way you might rest your gaze on a fire without watching any single flame. There is no need to focus tonight. There is no need to follow any one thought, any one sound, any one shape in the dark. There is only this soft blur of sensation, warm and slow, carrying you gently onward through the rain and the night and the deep, quiet water of the fjord. Somewhere ahead, the fjord bends again, curving gently to the left, and the ferry follows without hesitation, its engine steady, its path certain, guided by hands that have made this crossing more times than can be counted. You do not need to see the curve to feel it. You feel it the way you feel everything tonight, softly, distantly, a gentle shift in the motion beneath you, easy and unhurried. There is a particular pleasure in feeling something without needing to see it, in trusting your own body to register the ferry's slow turn, the faint lean of the floor beneath you, the small shift in the engine's steady hum as it adjusts to the new angle of the water. You do not need proof of any of it. You only need the sensation itself, soft and fleeting, folding into the rest of the night's gentle rhythm. One more small piece of the whole unhurried journey. The rain continues. The hum continues. The cliffs continue their long, slow rise on either side, dark and endless, holding the fjord the way the blanket holds you, complete and unbroken, all the way from where the ferry began its crossing to wherever it is headed now. You let your eyes close fully, if they have not already, and you let the sound of the rain become the only thing in the world, filling the space behind your closed eyes with soft gray static, gentle and endless, a sound with no beginning, and no end. Beneath that sound, the engine continues its low hum, a second layer of comfort, steady and sure. And beneath that, fainter still, you can almost imagine the sound of the water itself, dark and silent, parting gently to let the ferry pass. 3 sounds, layered soft on top of each other: rain and engine and water. And you rest inside all 3 at once, held completely, carried gently, wrapped in warmth from the outside in. There is a certain kind of stillness that settles over a person late at night on a boat like this one, when the rain has been falling for hours and the engine has been humming for just as long. A stillness that seems to seep into the bones themselves, slow and thorough, leaving nothing untouched. You feel that stillness now, moving through you the way the rain moves down the window glass, tracing a slow path from the top of your head down through your neck, your shoulders, your chest, settling finally somewhere deep and warm inside you. It is a good stillness. It asks nothing of you. It only offers rest, complete and unhurried. The same rest the cliffs have held for centuries. The same rest the water holds beneath its dark, still surface. You accept it fully now, letting your body sink further into the bench, letting your breath grow slower, letting your thoughts blur further into softness, until there is nothing left but the rain and the hum and the warm, dark quiet of the cabin around you. You think briefly of the very start of this journey, the dock where the ferry first pulled away, the last small lights of the town slipping slowly behind you as the fjord opened up ahead, dark and wide and waiting. That moment already feels far away now, softened by everything that has happened since. The rain, the cliffs, the slow, steady hum, all of it folding together into one long, unbroken stretch of calm. You do not need to remember every detail of how you got here. You only need to know that you are here now, warm and safe, wrapped in your blanket, carried gently through the heart of the fjord by a boat that has done this crossing more times than anyone could count. The rain outside has taken on a kind of familiarity now, a rhythm you have come to know the way you might come to know a friend's voice, steady and unchanging, asking nothing of you but your presence. You give it that presence freely, resting inside its sound, letting it fill every quiet space in your mind that might otherwise wander toward anything sharper, anything less gentle than this. You notice, too, how the boundary of the cabin itself has begun to feel less like a wall, separating you from the night, and more like a soft membrane, warm on your side, cool and rain streaked on the other, holding the two apart just enough to let you rest completely, while while still feeling close to everything happening outside. There is something comforting in that closeness without exposure. This sense of being fully present to the rain, the cliffs, the dark water, while remaining entirely untouched by any of their cold. You let that comfort settle deeper now, into your chest, into your shoulders, into the slow, unhurried rhythm of your own breath. Somewhere beneath the floor of the cabin, the old engine continues its long, patient work, turning steadily through the dark water, and you feel a quiet gratitude toward it. This tireless, steady machine that asks for nothing, that simply keeps working mile after mile, so that you might rest completely, without a single worry about how you will get to where you are going. You let that gratitude settle over you gently, another soft layer added to the warmth of the blanket, the warmth of the lamp, the warmth of your own slow and steady breath. There is nothing more you need to think about tonight. There is nothing more you need to feel, except this deep, unhurried ease, spreading through every part of your body, settling into your bones, into your breath, into the quiet corners of your mind, where even the smallest thoughts have begun to grow soft and slow and far away, somewhere out on the deck, unseen. The rain continues to fall on the empty benches, on the coiled ropes, on the railings slick with water, and you picture it once more. This quiet, wet scene lit only by the single yellow light near the stern, and you feel a small, distant comfort in knowing it is there, patient and unwatched, waiting for morning, the same way you are waiting for sleep. The ferry moves on. The cliffs rise on either side. The rain falls, soft and endless, and somewhere beneath you, the old engine hums its long, low note, faithful and unhurried, carrying you deeper into this warm and gentle night. After a while, the fjord widens once more, just slightly, and you notice, off to one side, a scattering of small lights along the shore, low and warm, clustered close together the way the lights of a small village might cluster on a quiet night. You watch them drift slowly past the window, unhurried, each one glowing softly through the rain, and you imagine, without needing to know for certain, the quiet lives held behind each one. A kitchen light left on for someone arriving late. A bedroom window, curtains drawn. Someone already asleep the way you are drifting towards sleep now. A porch light, glowing steady against the dark, marking the edge of someone's small, warm world. You let these images pass gently through your mind, soft and unhurried, the way the lights themselves pass beyond the window. And then they are gone, swallowed again by the dark cliffs and the falling rain, and the fjord narrows once more, drawing you back into its quiet embrace. The engine's hum does not change. It continues its steady, low rhythm, patient and constant, and you let your body settle further into its sound, matching your breath to its slow and steady beat. In, and the hum rises gently. Out, and it settles low again. You are not sure any longer whether you are breathing to match the engine, or whether the engine has somehow begun to match you. And it does not matter which is true. They have become the same rhythm tonight, joined together in the warm, dark quiet of the cabin, carrying you gently onward, breath by breath, mile by mile, through the long, soft hours of the crossing. The rain shows no sign of stopping yet, though its rhythm has grown, if anything, even gentler than before. A soft, unhurried patter that seems to ask for nothing but your rest. You give it that rest willingly now, feeling your whole body grow heavier, softer, more at ease with every passing moment, sinking further into the bench, further into the blanket, further into the warm, quiet dark behind your closed eyes. There is nothing left to notice out there in the night, except the things you have already noticed: the rain, the cliffs, the hum, the lights that come and go along the distant shore. Each one a small, soft punctuation in the long, slow sentence of this journey. You let yourself rest inside that sentence now, unhurried, unbothered, trusting it to carry you exactly where you need to go. Time passes slowly now, the way it always does out here on the water. You are not sure how long you have been resting like this, wrapped in your blanket, listening to the rain, and it does not matter. There is no clock to check tonight. There is only the steady hum beneath you, and the soft patter above, and the slow, easy rise and fall of your own chest as you breathe. The cliffs have not changed. They continue to rise on either side of the ferry, dark and silent, their peaks still lost somewhere above in the low clouds and the falling rain. Every now and then, a light appears far up on the rock face, small and lonely, the window of some distant cabin tucked into the cliffside, and then it slips away behind you, swallowed again by the dark. You do not need to wonder who lives there, or what they are doing tonight. You only need to notice the light, soft and brief, and let it pass, the way everything passes out here, slow and gentle and unhurried. The rain has not eased yet. It continues to fall in its same soft rhythm, patient and steady, tracing its quiet lines down the cabin window, landing on the deck outside, disappearing into the dark water below. You listen to it a while longer, feeling your body grow heavier still, feeling the last small threads of tension dissolve away, one by one, into the warm, still air of the cabin. Somewhere below, the engine's hum has settled into something almost like silence, a sound so constant, so familiar now, that it seems to live inside your own chest, matching the slow rhythm of your breath. In, and the hum rises gently to meet you. Out, and it settles back, low and steady, carrying you onward through the dark. You let your mind grow quiet. You let your thoughts soften and blur, the way the rain blurs the edges of the cliffs outside, until there is only a soft gray stillness where sharp thoughts used to be. There is nothing you need to remember tonight. There is nothing you need to plan. There is only the ferry, and the fjord, and the rain, and the warm blanket around your shoulders, and the slow, steady beat of the engine carrying you closer, minute by minute, to the quiet harbor that waits ahead. You do not need to hurry toward it. The ferry will arrive when it arrives, and you will be there, warm and rested, wrapped in the last soft hours of this long and peaceful crossing. For now, only rest, only breath, only rain. The foghorn sounds once more, low and distant, rolling out across the black water and fading slowly into the hush of the falling rain. You feel it settle somewhere deep in your chest, a gentle note, and then it is gone, dissolved back into the quiet, the way every sound out here eventually dissolves, soft and slow, into the vast, dark stillness of the fjord. Your eyes remain closed. Your breathing remains slow. Your body remains heavy and warm beneath the blanket, resting fully now against the bench, rocked gently by the water, held gently by the dark. Let yourself drift further. Let yourself sink deeper into this warm and quiet rest. There is nothing waiting for you tonight but sleep, slow and soft and certain, arriving the way the harbor will arrive, patient and unhurried, at exactly the right time. The rain continues. The engine hums. The cliffs rise on either side, dark and endless, and the ferry glides on between them, steady and sure, carrying you gently through the long, quiet hours of the night. Somewhere ahead, though still some distance away, the fjord begins to widen slightly, opening into a broader stretch of water, calmer still, sheltered more deeply from whatever wind might move beyond the outer coast. You do not need to picture this precisely. You only need to feel it. A subtle softening in the motion of the ferry beneath you. The smallest easing of the water's gentle rock, as though the fjord itself were beginning to settle, the way you are settling deeper and deeper into rest. The lamp beside you continues to glow, warm and low, casting its small, steady circle of light across the cabin, across the wooden bench, across the edge of the blanket wrapped around your shoulders. You do not need to open your eyes to see it. You can feel its warmth, faint but present, a small companion in the vast dark night, keeping watch while you rest. Somewhere in this long stretch of the crossing, you become aware of the ferry's own small sounds, the ones beneath the rain and beneath the engine, the quiet mechanical language of a boat settling into its steady work. A soft clank somewhere far below, metal against metal, brief and unbothered. A faint hiss of steam or air, released and gone before you, can even place its source, a gentle shift in the pitch of the engine's hum, so slight you might imagine it, as the ferry adjusts its course by some small fraction, following the curve of the fjord, without needing any hand to guide it beyond the steady one. Already at the wheel, you let these sounds pass through you, the way you have let every sound pass through you tonight, without concern, without needing to understand them fully. They are simply part of the ferry's language, a quiet vocabulary of clicks and hums and distant metal sounds that has been spoken the same way for as long as boats like this one have crossed this fjord. You imagine, briefly, all the other quiet sounds happening right now, unseen throughout the ferry. A kettle perhaps resting cool in some small galley, a coil of rope shifting slightly on the wet deck, a door somewhere latched gently against the rain. None of it needs your attention. None of it asks anything of you at all. It is simply the ferry breathing, in its own slow mechanical way, the same way you are breathing, slow and steady, beneath your warm blanket. You do not need to translate it. You only need to rest inside it, trusting that every sound belongs exactly where it is, doing exactly what it should be doing, carrying you safely onward through the rain and the dark. The blanket around you has taken on the shape of your body now, warm and familiar, molded by hours of stillness into something almost like a second skin. You shift very slightly and feel it move with you, warm and heavy, settling back into place the moment you grow still again. There is a rhythm to this stillness now, a kind of unspoken agreement between your body and the bench beneath it, between the blanket and your shoulders, between your breath and the low, steady hum of the engine. Everything has found its place. Everything has settled into exactly the position it needs to be in, and there is nothing left to adjust, nothing left to arrange, only this deep and complete stillness, holding you gently through the last long hours of the night. You notice distantly how your own breath has become part of that same settled rhythm, no longer something you need to guide or manage, simply something happening on its own, slow and steady, rising and falling in time with the gentle rock of the ferry beneath you. There is nothing left to think your way through tonight. There is only this rhythm, whole and unbroken, holding every part of you exactly where it needs to be, warm and still, and at ease. Outside, the rain continues, softer now than it was even a short while ago, though still steady, still present, still tracing its long, slow lines down the old glass window beside you. You watch it, or perhaps you no longer watch it. Perhaps your eyes have closed so fully now that you only sense it. A soft, gray blur somewhere beyond your resting eyelids. A gentle patter that has become as much a part of you as your own heartbeat. The cliffs continue their long, dark rise on either side, though they too have begun to soften somehow. Less sharp in your mind now, less distinct, blending gently into the deep gray blur of everything else tonight. The rain, the hum, the warmth, the slow, steady rock of the water beneath the hull. You do not need to hold onto any single detail any longer. You only need to rest inside the whole soft blur of it, warm and complete, carried gently onward by a boat that knows exactly where it is going, through a night that asks nothing of you but stillness somewhere deep inside your chest. You feel a long, slow exhale release, something you did not even realize you had been holding. Some final, small thread of tension, dissolving now into the warm, dark quiet of the cabin. Your body feels, in this moment, more relaxed than it has felt in longer than you can remember. Every muscle loose, every thought soft and slow, every part of you settled fully into rest. You let yourself notice this feeling fully now, this rare and complete relaxation, and you allow yourself, without guilt, to simply enjoy it, to rest inside it a while longer. The rain outside continuing its soft, patient rhythm, the engine continuing its low, steady hum, the whole night holding you exactly as gently as it has held you since the very start of this crossing. Let your body rest more fully now. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands, still and warm beneath the blanket, grow heavier still. Let your breath slow and slow again, matching the low, steady hum of the engine, matching the soft, endless rhythm of the rain. There is nothing more to do tonight. There is nowhere else to be. There is only this slow and gentle crossing, this warm and quiet cabin, this long and peaceful rain, falling softly over the fjord, over the cliffs, over the still dark water, all the way to the sheltered harbor that waits, patient and unseen, somewhere ahead in the night. The hours continue to pass, slow and unhurried, the way they always do out here on the water. You have lost track of how long you have been resting now, wrapped warm in your blanket, listening to the rain fall soft and steady on the roof above you. And it does not matter. There there is nothing to track tonight. There is only the ferry, moving gently through the dark, and the cliffs, rising silent on either side, and the warm, still air of the cabin, holding you close. At some point, without you quite noticing when, a small thermos appears in your memory of the cabin, tucked beside you on the bench, warm beneath your hand. You do not need to remember exactly when you poured it, or what is inside. Perhaps it is tea, something simple and warm, chamomile, or something close to it, faintly sweet, steam rising softly into the cool cabin air. You lift it now, slow and unhurried, and feel the warmth of it spread through your palms, through your fingers, up into your wrists. You do not need to drink from it if you do not wish to. You only need to hold it a while, feeling its warmth mix with the warmth of the blanket, the warmth of the lamp beside you, the warmth of your own slow breath when you set it down again, gently, on the small shelf beside the window. You feel a fresh wave of ease settle over you, as though that small warmth had been the last thing holding you slightly apart from full and complete rest. Now, there is nothing left holding you apart from it at all. Your hands settle back beneath the blanket, loose and warm, and you feel the last small effort of holding anything at all dissolve completely, leaving only stillness, only softness, only the deep, unhurried rest that has been gathering in you all night, one quiet layer at a time. The rain continues outside, steady and soft, and you let your gaze drift back to the window, watching the drops trace their long, slow paths down the glass, merging, parting, merging again. An endless quiet pattern with no beginning and no end. You think for a moment of how many nights this exact crossing has happened before tonight. How many other passengers have sat exactly where you are sitting, wrapped in exactly this kind of warmth, watching exactly this kind of rain trace its way down exactly this kind of old glass window. There is something quietly comforting in that continuity. This sense of joining a long, unbroken chain of quiet, unhurried crossings, each one folding gently into the next, night after night, season after season, for as long as this ferry has made its way through the fjord. You do not need to know the names of those other passengers, or their stories, or where they were traveling to or from. You only need to feel, briefly, that soft sense of shared stillness, the same rain falling on all of them the way it falls on you now, the same engine humming beneath all of them the way it hums beneath you now, the same dark cliffs rising on either side, patient and unchanged, watching over every crossing the same way they watch over this one. It is a gentle thought, and you let it rest a while in your mind, before releasing it softly back into the deep quiet of the night. The rain continues, unhurried, endless, each drop finding its own small path down the glass before joining the ones that came before it, merging into thin silver lines that trace all the way down to the wooden frame of the window. You watch these lines form and reform, appearing and disappearing, a slow, soft pattern with no need to resolve into anything more than what it already is. Somewhere beneath the water, deep and cold and ancient, the fjord continues its long, patient path toward the sea, carrying with it centuries of rain, centuries of quiet crossings, centuries of nights, exactly like this one. You rest above all of that history now, small and warm and safe, held gently by a boat that has learned, over many years, exactly how to carry a tired traveler safely through the dark. You think briefly of the many small hands that must have kept this ferry running over its long life. Engineers checking the engine by lamplight, deckhands coiling rope in the rain, captains standing quiet watch through countless nights just like this one, each of them adding some small, steady piece to the safety you feel wrapped in now. You do not need to know any of their names either. You only need to feel the quiet weight of their care, still present somehow in the steady hum beneath you, in the warm, reliable glow of the lamp, in the smooth, worn wood of the bench that has held so many resting travelers before you. Somewhere out past the glass, the cliffs continue their long, dark rise, and here and there you notice pale streaks running down their faces, thin waterfalls fed by the rain, silver in what little light remains, disappearing into the black water far below. There is a soft, unhurried quality to the way the night has unfolded so far, each hour blending gently into the next without any real division between them. The way the rain blends into the dark water below, seamless and unbroken. You could not say, if asked, exactly how long you have been resting here, wrapped in your blanket, listening to the steady patter above and the low, patient hum beneath. And you find that you do not need to know. Time has softened into something wide and formless tonight, less like a line to follow and more like the fjord itself, deep and dark and endlessly patient, holding you gently within it without asking anything of you at all. You let yourself rest inside that wide, soft formlessness now, feeling your whole body sink further into the bench beneath you, further into the blanket, further into the warm and gentle dark behind your closed eyes. The cabin around you remains exactly as it has been for hours, warm and dim and quiet, the small brass lamp glowing steady beside you, the old wooden walls creaking softly now and then, the rain tracing its endless patient lines down the glass. Nothing here needs to change for you to feel completely at peace. Nothing here is asking you to notice anything new, to think anything new, to feel anything other than this deep, unhurried calm that has settled so completely over you now. You find yourself thinking briefly of the difference between this kind of rest and the rest you find at home, in your own bed, beneath your own familiar covers. There is something different about resting here in motion, carried gently by water rather than held still by land. Something that makes the rest feel deeper somehow, more complete, as though the gentle rocking itself were doing part of the work of calming you, easing you, rocking you the way you might once have been rocked as a small child, safe in someone's arms, drifting easily towards sleep without any effort of your own. You do not need to remember exactly what that felt like. You only need to notice that this feels similar. This same safe, unhurried, weightless calm, wrapped now not in arms, but in a thick, warm blanket, rocked not by a gentle hand, but by the slow, steady motion of dark water beneath an old wooden hull. It is enough. This echo of an older comfort, enough to carry you deeper into rest with every passing minute, deeper into the soft, gray quiet behind your closed eyes, deeper into the warm and endless dark of this long, gentle crossing. The rain continues outside, unhurried, unbothered, and you let its steady rhythm carry you further still, feeling your whole body grow heavier, softer, more completely at ease with every slow, unhurried breath. You imagine for a moment what it might be like to stand at the base of one of those waterfalls, feeling the cold mist on your face, hearing the water fall and fall and fall into the fjord below. And then you let the image go, soft and unhurried, the way you have let every image go tonight, arriving gently, resting a while, and drifting on. The ferry continues its steady path. Ahead, in the far distance, you notice the shape of another boat, small and dim, moving slowly in the opposite direction along the fjord. It is too far away to make out any detail, only a soft cluster of lights, low against the dark water, drifting past on its own quiet journey. You watch it for a while, this small passing companion in the vast dark night, and you feel, briefly, a quiet kind of kinship with whoever might be aboard. Another traveler moving slowly through the rain and the dark, wrapped perhaps in their own blanket, resting in their own warm cabin, carried gently onward by their own steady engine. The two boats do not pass close enough to notice each other in any real way. They simply exist for a moment in the same wide, dark water, each on its own quiet path. And then the other boat's lights grow smaller and smaller and finally disappear around a bend in the fjord, swallowed by the cliffs, gone as gently as it appeared. You let your gaze return to the window nearest you, to the rain still tracing its slow lines down the glass, and you feel your body settle even further into the bench beneath you, heavier now than it has been at any point tonight. The blanket around your shoulders has grown warm with your own warmth, a soft cocoon holding in every bit of heat your body offers, and you feel wrapped inside it, entirely separate from the cold night outside, entirely safe, entirely at ease. Your breathing has slowed further still, each inhale long and easy, each exhale slower than the one before it, releasing a little more tension with every pass. Somewhere in the deep quiet of this part of the crossing, you find yourself noticing the small details of your own comfort, one at a time, unhurried, the way you might notice the individual stars in a clear sky, each one distinct for a moment before blending back into the whole soft field of them. The warmth of the blanket against your shoulders, the gentle weight of it across your knees, the cool smoothness of the wooden bench beneath your hands, softened now by the warmth of your own skin. The low, steady hum of the engine, felt as much as heard, rising up through the floor and into your feet, your legs, your whole resting body. The soft rhythm of the rain, endless and patient, tracing its slow lines down the old glass window beside you. You notice each of these things, one after another, and then you let them blend back together, the way individual notes blend into a single long chord, rich and warm and complete. There is nothing separate about any of it anymore. The blanket, the bench, the hum, the rain, they have all become one single sensation now, one long, unbroken wave of comfort, carrying you gently forward through the night. You do not need to hold onto any single part of it. You only need to rest inside the whole, warm and complete, trusting it to carry you exactly where you need to go. Your breathing has grown so slow now that each breath feels like its own small journey, a long, slow rise, a brief, soft pause, and then an even longer, even slower fall, releasing everything, holding nothing, over and over, patient and unhurried. You notice, somewhere in the quiet space between one breath and the next, how completely your body has surrendered to the rhythm of the ferry. No longer separate movements at all, but one single unbroken motion, rising and falling together, breath and boat and water, all moving as one slow, patient whole. There is nothing left to separate out. there is nothing left to name or track or hold apart from anything else. There is only this one long, slow, unbroken motion, carrying you gently forward, breath by breath, mile by mile, deeper and deeper into rest. The cliffs outside continue their long, dark rise, though you sense them now more than see them. A vast, quiet presence on either side of the ferry, ancient and unbothered by the rain, by the dark, by the small, warm boat gliding slowly between them. You feel entirely held by that presence, the way a small stone might feel held by a great, slow river, carried without effort, without resistance, simply moving in whatever direction the water chooses to take it. You think briefly of how these cliffs have stood through countless storms, far heavier than tonight's gentle rain, through winters of ice and snow, through summers of long pale light that barely fades before dawn returns, through centuries of ferries just like this one, gliding quietly beneath them, night after night, unnoticed, unremarked, and yet always, somehow, held safe. There is a deep and steady permanence in that thought, a sense of being part of something far older and far larger than any single crossing, any single night, any single tired traveler wrapped in a blanket, watching the rain trace its way down an old glass window. You let that permanence settle over you now, warm and reassuring, the way the whole vast fjord seems to settle around the ferry, holding it gently, guiding it safely, asking nothing in return but the simple trust of anyone willing to rest inside its care. There is no need to choose your own direction tonight. There is no need to decide anything at all. You only need to rest, complete and unhurried, letting the ferry and the rain and the low, steady hum of the engine carry you gently onward, mile by soft mile, toward the quiet harbor that waits, patient and unseen, somewhere ahead in the dark. Let yourself sink further into this feeling now. Let every last small thought dissolve into the soft, gray quiet behind your closed eyes. The way the rain dissolves into the dark water far below the hull, complete and gentle and endless. There is a heaviness behind your eyes now, warm and welcome. The kind of heaviness that comes only when the body has fully decided to rest, when there is nothing left to resist, nothing left to hold on to, only the soft pull towards sleep, gentle and inevitable, like the slow pull of the tide. You let yourself be pulled. You let your thoughts grow quieter still, softer, blurrier, until even the images that rise, the seals, the lighthouse, the small village lights, begin to lose their edges, folding into one another the way clouds fold into a gray and endless sky. The rain continues its patient rhythm. The engine continues its low, patient hum. Somewhere beneath the floor of the ferry, deep in the dark water, the fjord continues its long, slow path toward the sea. Unhurried, ancient, indifferent to the passage of time. And you rest above it, small and warm and safe, held completely by the ferry, by the blanket, by the deep, quiet dark of the night. Somewhere in this deep, quiet stretch, you become aware of how completely the outside world has fallen away. How little remains of the day that came before this crossing. The small tasks, the small conversations, the small sounds of a life lived on land. All of it dissolved now into the rain and the dark and the low, steady hum beneath your feet. There is a particular kind of relief in that dissolving, a sense of being fully, completely away from everything that might have asked something of you only hours before. Tonight asks nothing of you. Tonight only offers rest, deep and unbroken, wrapped in warmth, carried gently through the dark by a boat that needs no help from you at all. You let yourself receive that gift fully now, without guilt, without hesitation, the way you might receive a warm cup placed gently into your open hands. You think briefly of how rarely you allow yourself this kind of complete surrender, this full and total permission to simply rest, without needing to earn it, without needing to finish anything first, without needing to justify it in any way at all. Tonight, that permission arrives freely, carried in on the same soft current as the rain, and you accept it fully, letting your whole body soften even further into the bench beneath you. Your body continues to grow heavier, softer, more completely at ease with every slow breath. And you notice, distantly, how far away your own thoughts have drifted from anything sharp or urgent. There is only the rain now, and the hum, and the soft, endless dark beyond the window. And you rest inside all three, held completely, asked for nothing. Somewhere far below, the water continues to part gently around the hull, dark and cold and ancient, indifferent to the small, warm cabin resting just above it, indifferent to the rain falling steadily onto its surface, indifferent to everything except its own slow, patient path toward the sea. You feel in this moment a kind of quiet kinship with that water, both of you moving slowly through the dark, unhurried, untroubled, simply following the path that has been laid out ahead, trusting it completely, without question, without resistance. You imagine, briefly, the very first drop of rain that fell tonight, somewhere far up the fjord, landing on the water long before the ferry ever reached this stretch, and how it has already become part of the whole, indistinguishable now from every drop that followed it. Folded completely into the dark, moving current beneath the hull, you feel a quiet kind of comfort in imagining yourself the same way. One small, warm presence folded gently into this whole, vast, unhurried night, no longer separate from the rain, or the water, or the low, steady hum carrying you forward, but simply part of it, held completely, asking nothing, resisting nothing. The cabin around you remains warm and still, its small brass fittings catching the low gold light of the lamp, its old wooden walls creaking every so often, gentle and familiar. The sound of a boat settling comfortably into its long night's work. You let that sound become part of the layered rhythm you have been resting inside for hours now. The rain, the engine, the water, the old wood, each one a soft thread woven into the same warm, unhurried tapestry of sound. There is nothing sharp in any of it. There is nothing that asks you to wake, to notice, to respond. There is only this deep and gentle invitation to rest, repeated softly, over and over. In every sound the ferry makes tonight, every so often, you notice the faint creak of the ferry's old wooden frame, a small settling sound, gentle and familiar now, like the creak of an old house at night, comforting rather than alarming, a reminder that the boat, too, is simply resting into its own steady rhythm, easing along the water the way you are easing into sleep. You let that small sound pass through you without disturbance, folding it into the layered hum of rain and engine and distant water, one more soft thread in the deep, quiet fabric of the night, somewhere close to the surface of your resting mind. A small, simple wish drifts by, quiet and unhurried, a wish for nothing more than exactly this rain, exactly this warmth, exactly this slow, steady hum carrying you gently through the dark. You do not need to reach for anything more than what you already have tonight. Everything you need is already here, held close around you. The blanket, the lamp, the bench, the rain, the low, patient engine, and the vast, dark cliffs standing quiet guard on either side of the fjord. You think briefly of how little it takes in the end to feel this complete, this cared for, this entirely at peace, only warmth and shelter, and the steady sound of rain, and a slow, safe passage through the dark. Nothing more elaborate than that. Nothing more complicated than that. There is a simplicity in this thought that feels like its own kind of gift. A reminder that rest does not need to be earned through effort, only received quietly, the way you are receiving it now. There is a completeness to this moment that asks nothing further of you. You let yourself rest inside that completeness now, feeling it settle fully into your chest, into your shoulders, into the slow, easy rhythm of your breath. The rain continues its soft, unbroken rhythm, and somewhere within that rhythm, you notice a kind of gentle repetition, tap and tap and tap again, each one nearly identical to the one before it, and yet each one entirely new, entirely its own, arriving fresh from the clouds above, and falling exactly once before joining the water below. You find something soothing in that thought, this endless procession of small, unique moments, each one arriving, resting briefly, and departing, the way your own thoughts have been arriving and departing all night, soft and unhurried, leaving behind only a faint, warm trace before dissolving back into the quiet. You let your attention settle once more on the warmth gathered around your feet, tucked deep beneath the blanket, safe from the cold that presses gently against the glass just beyond your resting body. You let it settle, too, on the warmth of your own hands, folded loosely in your lap, fingers no longer holding onto anything at all, simply resting, open and soft, the way the whole of you is resting now, open and soft, asking nothing, needing nothing. There is a kind of peace that only arrives after many quiet hours like these, layer upon layer of small, soft comforts, stacking gently on top of one another, until they become something whole, something complete, something far larger than the sum of any one blanket, any one lamp, any one steady engine. You feel that wholeness now, settled fully into your chest, into your breath, into the unhurried beat of your own heart, slow and steady, matching the rain, matching the hum, matching the whole gentle rhythm of this long night's crossing. Your body remains still beneath the blanket, heavy and warm, and you feel no need to move, no need to check the time, no need to do anything at all except continue resting exactly as you are, wrapped safely away from the cold and the dark, carried gently onward through the long, slow hours of the crossing. If you were to open your eyes now, just slightly, you might notice how the darkness outside has grown even fuller, even deeper. The last faint traces of dusk long gone now, replaced entirely by the rich, complete black of true night, broken only by the scattered lights along the distant shore and the small, steady glow of the ferry's own lamps. But there is no need to open your eyes. There is no need to check on the dark, to confirm that it is still there, still patient, still holding the fjord in its long, quiet embrace. You know it is there. You can feel it, soft and vast, pressing gently against the windows, held back only by the thin glass and the small, warm glow of the cabin lamp beside you. And inside that small, warm glow, you are entirely safe, entirely held, entirely at rest. The rain begins, very slowly, to shift in its rhythm once more, not stopping, not yet, but softening, drop by drop, the way a voice might soften toward the end of a long and gentle story. You do not need to notice the exact moment of this shift. You only need to feel it, gradually, the way you feel the blanket growing warmer, the way you feel your own body growing heavier, the way you feel sleep drawing closer with every slow breath you take. The cliffs continue their patient rise on either side, dark and endless, rain-streaked and silent, and the ferry continues its steady path between them, carrying you onward, mile by mile, toward the hidden harbor that waits somewhere ahead, unseen, unhurried, patient as everything else tonight. You rest inside this slow certainty. You rest inside the rain, and the hum, and the dark, and the warmth, and you let every part of you soften further, and further still, sinking down into a rest so complete that even your thoughts have grown quiet, even your breath has grown slow, even the small edges of waking awareness have begun to blur and fade, the way the shoreline blurs and fades into the rain-soaked dark beyond the window. There is nothing left to do now but rest. There is nothing left to notice except the softening rain and the steady hum and the deep, warm quiet that has settled fully over you, wrapping around your shoulders, your chest, your hands, your feet, holding you exactly the way the fjord holds the ferry, safe and slow and complete. Let yourself rest here a while longer. Let the rain continue its long, soft fade. Let the hum continue its low, steady beat. Let the dark hold you gently and completely, all the way toward the quiet harbor, and all the way toward sleep. There is a particular stretch of the fjord, somewhere in these deep hours of the crossing, where the cliffs rise higher than anywhere else along the route, so high that even in daylight their peaks are rarely seen, lost most days in a soft crown of cloud. Tonight, in the dark and the rain, they simply rise and rise and rise, vanishing upward into a blackness so complete it is impossible to say where the stone ends and the sky begins. Somewhere far above, hidden entirely from view, the rain that falls here begins its journey, gathering first as cloud, drifting slowly down from some cold and distant place, before finally releasing itself, drop by patient drop, onto the cliffs, onto the water, onto the roof of the ferry, passing quietly below. You think of that whole long journey now, the rain's journey, beginning somewhere far out over the sea, rising, cooling, gathering, and finally falling, softly and completely, over this one small stretch of fjord. At this one particular hour of the night, there is something moving in that thought, though gently, without any sharp edge to it, only a soft sense of everything being connected. The sea and the sky and the cliffs and the rain and the ferry and you, all part of one long, patient, unhurried cycle that has been repeating itself for longer than any single crossing could ever measure. You do not need to hold that thought for long. You only need to let it pass through you, the way the rain passes through the dark, arriving softly, resting a moment, and moving on, back into the deep, quiet rhythm of the night. You feel small here, in the gentlest possible way, not lost, not overwhelmed, only small, the way a single leaf might feel small drifting on a wide, slow river, carried without effort, without concern, simply held by something far larger than itself. You let that feeling settle over you now, soft and grounding. The vastness of the cliffs, somehow making the cabin feel even warmer by comparison, even smaller, even safer. A single point of golden light tucked deep inside all this ancient dark stone. The engine's hum seems, if anything, even more comforting here. A small, steady reminder that you are not simply drifting, that something patient and capable is carrying you forward, mile by mile, through even the deepest, darkest stretch of the fjord. You rest inside that reminder. You let it hold you the way the cliffs hold the water, complete and unbroken, all the way from one end of this passage to the other. In this deepest part of the passage, sound behaves differently than it did earlier in the crossing. The tall cliffs on either side seem to gather the rain and the engine and fold them closer together, wrapping the ferry in a kind of soft cocoon of sound, richer somehow, fuller, as though the whole night had drawn nearer to listen. You notice this without needing to understand it. You simply feel it, this closeness, this gentle gathering of sound around you, and you let it settle over you the way everything else has settled over you tonight, warm and soft and complete somewhere above, though hidden entirely by cloud and rain. You imagine the shapes of the mountains continuing upward, higher than the ferry could ever reach, their peaks touched perhaps by a thin layer of early snow, cold and silent under a sky you cannot see tonight. You do not need to see it to sense its vastness. You only need to feel small beneath it, gently, comfortably, the way a single candle feels small beneath a wide night sky, and yet no less warm, no less steady for its smallness. The engine's hum seems to deepen here. Or perhaps it is only the closeness of the cliffs making it feel that way, richer and fuller, wrapping around you the same way the blanket wraps around your shoulders. You let it hold you. You let the whole deep passage hold you. Stone and water and rain and engine. All of it working together to carry you safely through the darkest, most hidden part of the fjord. There is a stillness here that feels older than anywhere else you have passed tonight. A stillness that seems to have been waiting, patient and unchanged, since long before any ferry first learned to cross this water. You rest inside that ancient stillness now, feeling it settle into your own body, slow and complete, the way it has settled into this valley for longer than memory can reach. You wonder, briefly, and without any real need for an answer, how many nights just like this one, this narrow stretch of the fjord has held. How many quiet crossings. How many other tired travelers wrapped in their own blankets, watching their own rain trace its way down glass, just like this. The thought does not ask anything of you. It simply rests alongside you for a moment, gentle and companionable, before drifting away again into the soft, dark quiet of the passage, the way every thought has drifted away tonight, arriving softly, resting briefly, and dissolving back into rest. Your thoughts, what few remain, have grown so soft now that they barely register as thoughts at all, more like faint impressions, brief and gentle, arriving and departing without any need for your attention. You let them come. You let them go. You rest simply inside the deep, dark heart of the fjord, warm and safe and utterly at peace. The rain falls the same here as everywhere else along the fjord, soft and steady, tracing its long, slow lines down the cabin window, and you watch it a while longer, feeling your eyelids grow heavier with every passing minute. If you have not already closed your eyes, you let them close now, fully, gently, and you feel the darkness behind them settle into something soft and gray, not empty, but full of rain sound and engine hum, and the slow, steady rock of the ferry beneath you. In this darkness, you might notice fragments of memory drifting past, unbidden, unhurried, the way driftwood drifts on a slow current, perhaps a memory of another rainy night, somewhere warm and familiar, a childhood bedroom with rain against the window, and a small lamp glowing softly in the corner. Perhaps a memory of the sea, somewhere else entirely, waves rolling slow and steady onto a quiet shore, perhaps only a color, warm and soft, with no memory attached to it at all, simply a gentle gold or amber drifting behind your closed eyes, echoing the glow of the lamp beside you. You do not need to hold onto any of these fragments. You only need to let them pass, softly, the way the cliffs pass outside the window, present for a moment, and then gone, dissolved back into the deep, warm dark of your resting mind. There is no story to follow tonight. There is no thread to hold. There is only this soft drift of feeling and image, rising and falling gently with your breath, carried along by the rain and the hum and the slow, steady motion of the ferry somewhere far off, though you might only imagine it now. A bellboy sounds once, a soft metallic chime carried faintly across the water, marking some unseen point along the fjord, some quiet boundary between one stretch of water and the next. You do not need to know what it marks. You only need to hear it once, soft and distant, and let it fade, the way every sound tonight eventually fades, back into the deep and endless quiet of the rain. You think briefly of how many quiet markers like that must exist all along this fjord, small unseen signals placed by careful hands long ago, each one doing its small patient work through the night, unnoticed by everyone but the boats that pass, guided safely by their soft, distant chime. You do not need to understand the whole system of it. You only need to trust that it is there, quiet and reliable. Another small thread woven into the deep, steady safety of this crossing. Your body continues to grow heavier. There is a particular kind of heaviness that settles into the legs first, and then the hips, and then slowly, gradually, moves upward through the stomach, the chest, the shoulders, until even the arms feel too heavy to lift, too warm and too settled to want to move at all. You feel that heaviness now, moving through you exactly this way, slow and complete, leaving nothing behind but stillness. Even your face has softened. The small lines that gather sometimes at the corners of your eyes, at the edges of your mouth, have eased now, smoothed by warmth and rest, leaving your expression open and calm, the way a sleeping child's expression is calm, free of any thought at all. The blanket continues to hold its warmth around you, heavier now than it felt at the start of the journey. Or perhaps it is simply that your own body has grown so relaxed that everything feels heavier by comparison, softer, more settled, more complete. You let yourself rest inside this heaviness. You do not fight it. You do not question it. You only receive it, the way you have received everything else tonight. The rain, the warmth, the slow, steady hum of the engine. All of it gathering now into one long, unbroken invitation toward sleep. The cliffs continue their vast, dark rise on either side of the ferry, ancient and patient. and you rest beneath them, small and warm and entirely safe, carried onward through the last deep hours of this quiet crossing. Somewhere ahead, the passage will begin to widen again, the cliffs drawing back just slightly, the water opening into calmer, gentler space. But you do not need to watch for that widening. You only need to trust that it is coming, the way you trust that sleep is coming, patient and certain, arriving exactly when it is ready, not a moment before, not a moment after. For now, there is only this, the deep dark passage, the rain soft and endless, the hum low and steady, the blanket heavy and warm, and your own breath, slower now than it has been at any point tonight. Each inhale gentle and unhurried, each exhale releasing just a little more of whatever small tension might still remain, until there is nothing left to release at all. Only rest, complete and total, wrapped around you like the vast dark cliffs wrapped around the fjord. Let yourself stay here a while longer, in this deepest, darkest, most sheltered part of the passage, held by stone older than memory, carried by water colder than any winter you have known, and warmed entirely by the small golden light of the cabin and the blanket around your shoulders and the low, steady hum of the engine beneath you. There is nowhere safer than here. There is nowhere quieter than here. You feel, in this deepest part of the passage, as though the whole night had gathered itself into one single quiet held breath. The cliffs leaning close, the water still and dark, the rain falling soft and steady over everything, and you resting at the very center of it, warm and safe and utterly at peace. There is nothing left to do in this deep and ancient passage but rest and drift, and let the ferry carry you gently onward toward whatever softness waits ahead. Gradually, so gradually, you might not notice the exact moment it happens. The cliffs begin to ease back from the water's edge, just slightly, the deep, narrow passage giving way to a wider, gentler stretch of fjord. The rain, too, begins to change here, not stopping, but settling into something calmer, some deep, unhurried rhythm, as though even the sky had grown tired in the best possible way and was beginning to rest alongside you. You feel your own body responding to this widening, this softening, a fresh wave of ease moving through you, starting somewhere in your chest and spreading outward into your shoulders, your arms, your hands, until every part of you feels loose and warm and completely at peace. The engine's hum has not changed, not really, but it feels different now, somehow softer, gentler, as though it too were easing toward the end of its long night's work, patient and steady all the way to the very last mile. You rest inside that steadiness. You let it carry you the rest of the way, unhurried, unbothered, trusting completely in the slow, certain rhythm that has held you safe through every mile of this long and gentle crossing. The rain has begun, very slowly, to soften. You might not even notice it at first. The change is so gradual, so gentle. But if you listen closely, you can hear it. The patter on the roof growing just slightly lighter, just slightly slower, drop by drop by drop. It is as though the sky itself is beginning to rest, the way you are resting, letting go of its weight little by little, easing into a quieter, softer version of itself. You let this thought settle over you, warm and comforting, and you feel your own body responding in kind, growing even heavier, even softer, sinking further into the bench beneath you. The engine continues its low, steady hum, unchanged, patient, carrying the ferry onward through the gently narrowing water. You can feel now a subtle shift in the fjord around you, the cliffs drawing closer on either side, their dark shapes looming taller, nearer, more protective somehow, as though the land itself were beginning to gather you in, sheltering the ferry from whatever lies beyond. This is the quiet, hidden part of the crossing, the part few people ever get to see, tucked deep between the walls of ancient stone, far from any town, far from any road, reachable only by water, only by night, only by slow and patient boats like this one. You feel fortunate to be here, though you do not need to hold onto that feeling too tightly. You only need to let it rest alongside everything else tonight. The rain, the hum, the warm blanket, the soft glow of the lamp. All of it settling together into one long and peaceful moment that asks nothing of you but rest. Breathe in slowly and notice how the air inside the cabin has grown even warmer, even stiller, as though the whole ferry were settling down for the night alongside you. Breathe out and let your body sink deeper still, heavier, softer, more at ease than it has been in a very long time. The rain continues to soften. The drops grow further apart now, no longer a steady patter, but something slower, more spaced, more gentle, each one landing softly, and then giving way to a brief hush before the next. You listen to this new rhythm with a quiet kind of pleasure, the way you might listen to a song slowing gradually toward its final notes, and you feel your own breath slowing to match it. Longer pauses between each inhale and each exhale. Deeper rest settling into every part of you. The cliffs on either side have grown closer still, and though you cannot see them clearly in the dark, you can feel their presence, tall and steady, guiding the fjord gently inward toward the calm and sheltered water that waits ahead. Somewhere beneath the floor, the engine's hum has softened too. Or perhaps it only seems that way, muffled now by the thicker stillness of the narrowing water, by the closer walls of stone, by the deep hush that has settled over everything. You let yourself rest inside this hush. You let it hold you the way the blanket holds you, warm and close and complete. There is nothing left to notice now but softness. The soft rain, slower now, gentler now. The soft hum, low and steady beneath you. The soft dark, wrapping around the ferry like another blanket, larger than the one around your shoulders, vast enough to hold the whole fjord, the whole night, the whole quiet world outside your window. You do not need to open your eyes. You do not need to check how far you have come or how far there is left to go. You only need to rest fully and completely, trusting the ferry to carry you the rest of the way, trusting the rain to keep softening, trusting the dark to keep holding you gently until the very end of this long and peaceful crossing. The foghorn sounds one last time, far off now, softer than before, barely more than a whisper carried on the last of the rain. You feel it pass through you gently, and then it is gone, and the quiet that follows feels deeper than any quiet before it. Let yourself sink into that quiet now. Let your whole body grow still and warm and heavy, resting completely against the bench, rocked so gently now by the water that you can barely feel the motion at all. The fjord is narrowing further. The cliffs lean in close on either side, tall and dark and ancient, and the water between them has grown almost perfectly still, disturbed only by the last few scattered drops of rain and the soft, quiet wake of the ferry gliding through. You can feel, somehow, that the crossing is nearing its end, though there is no urgency in that feeling. No need to rouse yourself. No need to open your eyes or lift your head from where it rests against the cool wall of the cabin. The ferry knows the way. It has made this final stretch many times before, slipping quietly between the cliffs into the hidden calm water beyond. And it will do so again tonight, slow and certain, while you rest. The rain has almost stopped now. Only the faintest drops remain, landing here and there on the roof above you, soft and scattered, like the last few notes of a song fading into silence. You listen to them with a quiet kind of tenderness, these last small sounds of the rain, and you feel your body growing heavier still, sinking fully into rest, into warmth, into the deep and gentle stillness of the night. The engine's hum continues, low and steady, though it too seems softer now, quieter, as though even the ferry itself were beginning to slow, beginning to ease toward its final, quiet approach. Ahead, though you cannot see it yet, the cliffs begin to open into a wide, sheltered cove. Calm water tucked deep within the folds of the mountains, protected from wind, protected from rain, protected from everything but the soft, dark quiet of the night. This is the harbor, small and old and hidden, reachable only by water, only by ferries like this one, patient and slow, carrying their few passengers safely home through the long dark hours. You do not need to see it to know it is there. You can feel it somehow, in the stillness of the water, in the softening rain, in the slow, easy rhythm of the engine beneath you. All of it settling gently, gently toward rest. Let your own body settle further, matching this quiet approach. Let your breath grow slower, longer, deeper, each exhale carrying away the last small traces of anything you might still be holding onto. There is nothing left to hold. There is only rest now, complete and total, wrapped in your blanket, warm and safe, carried gently toward the still and sheltered harbor that waits, patient and quiet, at the very end of this long and peaceful night. The rain has stopped. You may not even notice the exact moment it happens, the way you might not notice the exact moment sleep finally arrives. One moment there was rain, soft and scattered, and now there is only the hush that follows it, deep and complete, settling over the fjord, over the cliffs, over the still dark water all around the ferry. The engine's hum continues, low and steady, though gentler now, easing further with every passing moment, as the ferry moves slowly into the wide, calm cove that opens before it. The cliffs on either side begin to soften too, their steep, dark walls giving way at last to a broader stretch of quiet water, sheltered and still, cradled deep within the mountains. This is the harbor. Small lights appear here and there along the shore, soft and warm, reflected in perfect stillness on the glassy black water. And you watch them, if your eyes are still open, or simply sense them, warm and distant, if they are not. There is no rain here. There is no rocking of the waves. There is only stillness, complete and total. The kind of stillness that seems to hold its breath, gentle and patient, welcoming the ferry home. The engine slows further, its hum dropping lower, softer, until it becomes almost nothing at all. A faint whisper beneath the floor, barely felt, barely heard. You feel the ferry easing forward now, slow and careful, gliding the last small distance across the still water of the harbor toward the quiet dock that waits, unseen, somewhere ahead in the dark. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to notice, except this deep, and settled peace, this complete and total stillness, this warm and heavy rest that has settled fully into every part of your body. Let your breath rest here, slow and even. Let your body rest here, warm and heavy, wrapped in the blanket, held by the bench, cradled by the last gentle motion of the ferry as it comes, at last, into harbor. The lights along the shore grow closer, soft and warm, their reflections trembling faintly on the still black water, and then settling, calm and steady, as the ferry slows almost to nothing. The rain is gone now. The cliffs have opened into this quiet, sheltered cove, tall and dark and silent, standing guard around the still water like old patient friends. The engine's hum fades further, softer and softer, until it is barely more than a memory of sound, a faint vibration beneath the floor, gentle and slow. You are almost there now. Not that it matters. Not that there is anywhere else you needed to be. You have been here all along, wrapped warm and safe in this quiet cabin, carried gently through the rain and the dark and the long, slow hours of the crossing. And now, at last, you arrive. The harbor holds you. The stillness holds you. The soft, warm dark holds you, complete and total. And there is nothing left to do now but rest, fully, completely, letting go of the last small thread of waking thought, drifting down and down and down into a deep and peaceful sleep. The ferry is still now, resting quietly against the dock, the water around it calm and glassy, undisturbed by rain, undisturbed by wind, undisturbed by anything at all. The cabin lamp glows softly beside you, warm and low, and the blanket remains wrapped around your shoulders, heavy and complete, holding in every bit of warmth you have gathered through this long and gentle night. There is nowhere left to go. There is nothing left to do. There is only this deep and settled rest, this quiet harbor, this still and peaceful dark, wrapping around you completely, holding you exactly as you are. Let yourself sink fully into it now. Let every last part of you soften and rest and let go. Sleep is close now, as close and as gentle as the still water outside the window. And you are ready at last to drift all the way down into it, warm and safe and completely at peace, here in the quiet stillness of the harbor, at the very end of the long, soft, peaceful night.